Tom Cruise is the last great movie star. He's a dinosaur, so relentlessly committed to the theatrical experience that he recently spent a non-insignificant amount of time pretending that he actually enjoyed popcorn. He's the last remaining titan of theatrical filmmaking, a vocal proponent of big, loud movies that make people want to stand up out of their chairs and yell, "Hell yeah." Cruise started his career as America's sweetheart, only to have that image slowly mutate into something different, something more unhinged, something more nefarious. The last 15 years of his career have been defined by a retraction from public life and an obsession with pushing himself to his physical limits as a performer. The results speak for themselves. Billions at the box office, critical success, and everyone kind of forgetting that he's a gigantic weirdo. In the process, Cruise has positioned himself as more than a movie star. Tom Cruise is the movie business, a relic of a bygone era that still manages to move and thrill us, despite whatever misgivings we may have about its future. And in this video, we're going to try to make sense of the odyssey that is his career. This is the Tom Cruise Hall of Fame. I'm Dan. This is an episode of Dan Versus, where I take on a movie star, a director, or otherwise. In this video, we're going to be trying to build the ultimate, the definitive Tom Cruise Hall of Fame. Let's jump right into it. So for those of you who have never watched one of these videos before, our movie star Hall of Fames generally have a maximum of 9 movies. Those movies all have to fall into a set parameter, set number of categories. The first of those categories is an award winner. It must be a film for which the actor received either an awards nomination from the Academy Awards or a Golden Globe. Or it could just be an award-winning film, an Academy Award-nominated film. Next up, we have Box Office Smash, a movie that needs to have made at least $150 million at the box office to qualify. Then we have a two-hander, which is a movie where the actor stars opposite another major actor or actress. Then an auteur turn, a movie where the actor works with an auteur director, maybe a director who ultimately ends up going mainstream, but they worked with them at a time where they still were operating within this auteur world. Then a comedy part. Most big actors, most big movie stars have this part where it's primarily played for comedy. They try to be the comedic relief in one movie or another. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. Next up, a bit part where the movie star shows up for just a cameo or as part of a larger ensemble. Then a flop, a commercial failure that is still somehow watchable, that still somehow defines the actor's career and belongs within their Hall of Fame. Then we get 2 wildcard spots. Those 2 wildcard spots are made up of 2 movies that I deem have to be on this actor's Hall of Fame, in this actor's Hall of Fame. I'm also going to mention some honorable mentions. I'm not going to try to dig too deep into the honorable mentions. With a guy like Tom Cruise, there's so many movies you can obviously include because he's had such a storied career, but I don't want to get too bogged down in those. So I'm only going to mention 3 honorable mentions. Be sure to leave comments what your Hall of Fame would look like, because I'd like to see everyone else's Hall of Fames and what they all sort of are made up of. So without further ado, let's jump in to the definitive Tom Cruise Hall of Fame. We begin, as always, with our honorable mentions. First up on our honorable mention is none other than 1996's spy thriller Mission Impossible, the movie that spawned more sequels than I can count. I think actually 8, so I guess I can't count them. Almost 30 years of movies have been spawned by this adaptation of a prior television show. 1996, directed by Brian De Palma, an incredible spy thriller, one of my favorites. It still has aged incredibly well. Cruise is really compelling in it. It's very different in terms of scale as compared to what came after it. It's certainly no Fallout or the last 2 Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't quite reach the highs of those movies, but I do think that there is something to be said of the smaller scale in this movie, and Brian De Palma directs the crap out of this movie. It's really, really fun to watch. Next up on our honorable mention is A Few Good Men, directed by Rob Reiner, comedy legend, written by Aaron Sorkin. Tom Cruise plays a naval lawyer. You got an incredible Jack Nicholson performance. Demi Moore's in this movie. This is a fun movie. It is a dark movie, but the final scene or the final sequence or the climax where you see Cruise confront Nicholson is just 2 actors going toe-to-toe at the peak of their powers, and you see almost a proverbial passing of the torch as Cruise would go on to become the superstar of the 2 as Nicholson kind of moved on to a new stage of his career. This is an incredible watch. It is one of the first sort of forays we get into the Aaron Sorkin quippy, quick dialogue, and it has aged incredibly well. Finally, the last of our honorable mentions is none other than Top Gun, the 1986 Tony Scott thriller, an incredible movie that has once again aged very, very well. I mean, is so much to unpack in this movie between Tom Cruise's homoerotic relationship with Val Kilmer, the volleyball scene, the fact that it spawned a much better sequel years and years later. It is a fun watch. It is one worthy of checking out, and it felt impossible to discuss Tom Cruise's career without at least mentioning Top Gun. So without further ado, let's jump into the actual Tom Cruise Hall of Fame. We start with our award winner, and for that we go with none other than the 1996 sports comedy, drama, I don't know what you want to call it, sort of a rom-com, Cameron Crowe film, Jerry Maguire. Tom Cruise plays a sports agent. Cuba Gooding won an Academy Award for this movie. Tom Cruise won a Golden Globe. Tom Cruise is at his most sort of refined. There is a perfection to him in this movie that would come to really define him over the next couple of years. He is bulletproof, and you see him kind of breaking down as he's losing his clients, as he's falling apart, as he's trying to maintain Cuba Gooding Jr. and sign this young quarterback prospect. Cruise is electric in this movie. There's a reason why I think it really helped propel him even further into superstardom. There's a reason why it's one of the few times in his career he's been recognized by the Academy, by actual film nerds who finally decided to pat Mr. Movies on the back. There is a reason that he received all the accolades for this movie. It is an expertly crafted movie from a screenplay perspective, and it's just funny. Tom Cruise is very funny in this movie. Cuba Gooding Jr. is very funny. And the romantic side of this movie, the romance between Cruise and Renee Zellweger, has also really aged very well. It's very compelling, and it is just a delightful film to watch. So our number one nominee into the Tom Cruise Hall of Fame has to be Jerry Maguire. Next up, a box office smash. You have a lot of options with Tom Cruise here because there are simply so many box office smashes for Cruise. And for this we go with none other than Top Gun Maverick. I mentioned Top Gun on our honorable mentions. I think that Top Gun is a fine film. It is one that is really good, you know, in retrospect, 1986. Good Tony Scott movie. Top Gun Maverick is in a league of its own. It is an elite movie as far as I'm concerned. One of the best theater experiences I've ever had. Tom Cruise is in actual ships, you know, putting it all on the line, his face melting off, his neck muscles just retracting. It also served as sort of the springboard for guys who I think are going to serve as the next generation of big movie stars. Guys like Miles Teller, guys like Glenn Powell. This movie made stars. This is Tom Cruise having his own little passing of the torch to some big-time actors and still delivering. He is the emotional core of this movie. He delivers. He is clearly very involved in the creative process of putting this movie together, and it just is incredible. It's still incredible to watch. It's one of those movies where if it's on television, I know people don't watch television like this anymore, but it is an immediately rewatchable movie. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times since it came out, and every time I am glued to my seat, especially when he does the shadow run to show the general, played by John Hamm, that it is possible for them to accomplish this mission. Cruise is so good in this movie. Go see it if you haven't seen it. Next up, we have a two-hander. For this, I went with the 2004 crime thriller Collateral. Tom Cruise stars opposite Jamie Foxx, a guy who had not quite reached the heights that he would ultimately come to reach as a movie star at this point. Foxx was this comedian, rapper, sort of hybrid who would go on to make some incredible films, and this is one of them. He is so good in this movie himself. The reason I put this movie on this list is because Cruise is playing so much against type in this movie. He is the bad guy. It is one of the few instances in his career where he is objectively the villain of the movie. He is not the hero. He's working with Michael Mann, and he fits so well into this entire world. Cruise's blondish gray hair sort of differentiates him from a lot of his roles. It's sort of insane to think that he looks older in this movie than he does in a lot of his more current movies that are coming out 20 years later. But Cruise is incredible in this movie, and I know it was sort of happening at the height of a lot of weirdness going on in his personal life. I think this is sort of a unique and interesting decision he made to lean into this bad guy element, and the result is a really, really compelling small-scale crime drama, which is a far cry from a lot of the large-scale movies he goes on to make over the next 20 years. Next up is our auteur turn. For this, I selected Magnolia, the 1999 3-hour LA crime drama, personal family drama. I don't know what you want to call it, but it is Paul Thomas Anderson's masterpiece, maybe? And probably not. He's made a couple masterpieces, but one of his best films. And Cruise plays this sort of men's rights seminar guy. Another unique role for Cruise because he is such a repugnant character in this movie. He is Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate was Andrew Tate. And you see the inklings of that, and you see his sort of tragic backstory, and you see him unraveling. And it is amid a larger ensemble piece, but it is still so compelling to see Cruise become and transform into this just terrible character. I like Tom Cruise as a bad guy is what I'm getting at. And it really, really works in this movie. Next up for comedy, Tropic Thunder, Tom Cruise, Les Grossman. I don't think there's another decision here. Tom Cruise is unbelievable in this film. Les Grossman is a psychopath. He is screaming like a maniac. The fact that Tom Cruise is willing to go this crazy, to go this far in this movie, astounds me to this day, but it remains one of his most iconic roles to my mind. And he got a lot of positive press, I think, from doing this, and it was worth it for him because he is this overweight, slovenly lunatic of an agent, and him screaming into the phone is still laugh out loud funny to this day. So I don't think there's really another choice here for comedy because it is one of the few times Cruise was purely playing for comedy in a movie. Next up, bit part, Austin Powers in Goldmember. This is a blink if you miss it cameo. It is the retelling of the Austin Powers and Goldmember story at the end of Goldmember, where you see Tom Cruise playing Austin Powers. I remember seeing this in the theater and just cracking up at the fact that Cruise was once again willing to play the part in this. For all the weirdness of Cruise's personal life, the fact that he is willing sometimes to just be the butt of a joke and to be in on some of these jokes is always strangely compelling to me. He seems like a unique character in all of our Hollywood lives, all of Hollywood lore. For flop, I went with the 2014 sci-fi action movie Edge of Tomorrow. I don't remember what the other name for it was, but it's essentially a send-up of Groundhog's Day where Tom Cruise keeps dying. Unique movie in that he dies repeatedly. Tom Cruise does not permanently die in many movies. He dies in Collateral at the end, one of the few movies where he's actually effectively permanently dead. In this movie, he's not permanently dead. He dies over and over again. He stars opposite Emily Blunt. You have Brendan Gleeson in this movie, Bill Paxton. It's a Doug Liman movie. Really good movie that a lot of people have not seen. Kind of fell through the cracks here. Was a commercial failure, so much so that they tried to change the name of the movie to Live, Die, Repeat in some international markets, as well as in-home box office and streaming. So it's got a couple different names. If you go on IMDb, it's kind of a weird situation, but it was in theaters Edge of Tomorrow. That's what I saw it as. Live, Die, Repeat, also a pretty cool name, if you want me to be honest here. But go check it out if you haven't seen it. It was a flop, but it belongs on the Tom Cruise Hall of Fame, in the Tom Cruise Hall of Fame. Next up, the first of our two wild cards. Again, this is a dealer's choice, so I'm just going to choose whatever I think belongs here. The first that I have to choose here is I left off the original 1996 Mission Impossible with the idea that I would include this movie, the 2018 Mission Impossible sequel, Mission Impossible Fallout. It is the sixth movie, I believe, in the franchise. Somehow it is the best movie in the franchise. They bring in Henry Cavill. The action in this movie is unbelievable. Chris McQuarrie directs this one. Electric film. The action is so well choreographed in this film that it really kind of changed action films for a while. I think a lot of movies were trying to live up to this, including some of Tom Cruise's subsequent Mission Impossible films. And I don't think they ever really reached the heights that Mission Impossible Fallout is. It is one of the best theatrical action movie experiences I've ever had. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But it certainly belongs on the Tom Cruise Hall of Fame. Finally, my last selection, my last wild card, is the 2002 sci-fi mystery, I guess you'd call it, Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise, where he is a detective in Washington, D.C., who essentially, it's based on the Philip K. Dick short story. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. It is a sci-fi crime movie where there are these people who can see the future, who can tell you when somebody's going to commit a crime, and the police can stop them before they commit the crime. And Tom Cruise, who's a detective, ends up getting implicated in a future crime. He's being set up. It is a super fun movie. The sci-fi effects have actually aged very well for a movie made in 2002, which is shocking because a lot of those movies look horrendous now. This is not one of those, and Tom Cruise delivers an awesome performance. The entire vibe of this movie is just very, very cool. A lot of the futuristic film design from the early 2000s has aged like milk. It looks horrendous, and I just love how this movie looks. The soundtrack is great, the score, and it's just well directed. This is Steven Spielberg at the peak of his powers. This is Tom Cruise just delivering completely, and he runs a lot in this movie, which is always very funny to see. So if you haven't seen Minority Report, please go check it out. Awesome film, awesome film. And that rounds out our Tom Cruise Hall of Fame. So let's recap. My Tom Cruise Hall of Fame, the definitive list here, is number 1 award winner Jerry Maguire, number 2 box office smash Top Gun Maverick, number 3 two-hander Collateral opposite Jamie Foxx, number 4 auteur turn, I chose Magnolia, the 1999 Paul Thomas Anderson movie. For comedy, I went with Tropic Thunder. For bit part, I went with Austin Powers in Goldmember for the cameo of him at the end. For flop, I went with Edge of Tomorrow. For wild card, I went with Mission Impossible Fallout. And for my second and final wild card, I went with Minority Report. That does it for us. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more of these Hall of Fames. Be sure to comment with your own Hall of Fame. I'm so interested to see what people think, what people's own particular Hall of Fames look like. So be sure to comment whatever your particular Hall of Fame is. Thanks, guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.